It all started when I was 16, a shy boy with more dreams than confidence. Life was simple back then. School, homework, cricket in the evenings, and helping my parents run our small bookstore in town. I had never known what love truly felt like until she walked in one rainy afternoon. Her name was Isabella Carter. She had just moved into our town from the city. The first time I saw her, she walked into the bookstore, her brown hair dripping from the rain, a notebook in her hand, and the most curious look in her deep blue eyes. She asked me for a poetry book, Pablo Neruda to be exact. I was stunned, not just by her beauty, but by the way she spoke, calm and graceful, as if every word mattered. My voice cracked when I spoke, but she just smiled and thanked me. That smile. It stayed with me for days. After that day, Isabella became a regular visitor. She loved poetry, old novels, and stories of far-off lands. I made sure to keep her favourite books aside. She always talked to me like we were old friends. Slowly, we began to share things, music, stories, and even our fears. One day, she told me she missed her old school and friends. I told her how I had never really had close friends at school. That day, something changed. We weren't just bookstore friends anymore. We began to walk home together after school, laugh over silly things, and spend evenings at the lake nearby, throwing stones into the water and dreaming out loud. I was falling in love, deeply, hopelessly, and completely. But I never told her. I was afraid of ruining the perfect friendship we had. By the time summer came, Isabella and I were inseparable. My parents adored her, my classmates envied me, and I was happier than I had ever been. But still, I kept my feelings hidden, waiting for the perfect moment. One evening, we sat under our favorite tree near the lake. Fireflies danced around us. She rested her head on my shoulder and said, "You know, I don't feel alone anymore." My heart beat wildly. I looked at her, wanting to tell her everything, but the words got stuck. I just smiled and said, "Me neither." I went home that night, angry at myself for being a coward. I promised that the next time I wouldn't hold back. The next morning, everything fell apart. Isabella didn't come to school. She didn't come to the bookstore. By evening, I was panicking. I went to her house and found it locked. The neighbors told me her father had been transferred to another city. They had left early that morning. I couldn't believe it. I stood there, frozen, my mind refusing to accept the truth. No goodbye, no note, nothing. I went to the lake that night, sat under our tree, and cried like a child. The silence around me was unbearable. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. I wrote letters to Isabella, pages filled with everything I had never said. But I never sent them. I didn't even know her new address. I threw myself into studies, buried myself in books, and avoided the lake. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't forget her. She was my first love, gentle, pure, and unforgettable. Life moved on. I went to college in the city, got a job, and started building a new life. I met people, made new friends, even dated a few times. But deep inside, a part of me still lived in that small town, waiting under that old tree by the lake. Then, one winter afternoon, almost 5 years later, I visited home. My parents still ran the bookstore. I decided to take a walk around town, revisiting old memories. When I reached the lake, I froze. There she was, Isabella, standing under the same tree, looking out over the water. I thought I was dreaming. She turned and saw me. Her eyes widened. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she smiled. That same beautiful smile. "I was hoping I'd find you here," she said softly. We sat and talked for hours. She told me her father had kept the move sudden because of work. She had begged to come back, but life had its own plans. She said she often thought about me, wondered how I was, if I ever came back to the lake. And then I did something I should have done years ago. I reached into my bag, pulled out an old, worn envelope and handed it to her. "My first letter to you," I said. "I never sent it." She opened it and read. By the time she finished, tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked at me, her voice shaking. "I loved you too. I just didn't know how to say it back then." That day didn't end with goodbye. It ended with a promise to never lose each other again. Isabella moved back for good, took up a teaching job, and we rebuilt what we once had, stronger, deeper, and real. My first love had returned, not just as a memory, but as the love of my life.